Hello everyone, I'm Nidhi Ginkar. I'm in my final year of Political Science and Psychology at SIS College, Sion, and I'm interning here at Nehru Centre Library as a social media intern. So, this podcast is about going beyond books, like sharing stories and initiatives that bring libraries back to life as a spaces of learning, community, and connecting with people. Now, first, we have an incredibly inspiring guest with us, Dr. Paramita Mukherjee Mullick. She is an award winning poet, educationist, scientist, editor, and literary curator. She has published over 11 books, with her poems translated into more than 45 languages, and has been honored with awards like Gold Rose Award and Poet of the Year 2025. She also leads the Mumbai chapter of the Intercultural Poetry and Performance Library and serves as the cultural conveyor of ISISAR, where she promotes her intercultural dialogue through literature, right? So, on behalf of Nehru Centre Library, it's my utmost pleasure to welcome you here with us, ma'am. So, let's begin with the podcast. So, my first question to you, ma'am, is you have worked as a scientist, educationist, and internationally celebrated poet. So, how do these different identities come together to shape who you are today?
That's a very lovely question. Thank you for inviting me here. Yes, every experience has made me who I am today. Science has taught me to be observant, to be organized, and meticulous.
Yeah.
Without these three qualities, you cannot do experiments, you cannot go about doing science. Education has also imbibed great qualities in me, like I feel dedication, determination, and discipline. Without these three Ds, you cannot acquire knowledge or impart knowledge. So these three Ds I have imbibed from education. And as a poet, imagination. I think I have got the gift of imagination when I became a poet. And now I see things differently. And that the beauty, I see magic in just ordinary things. So I think poetry, all three, poetry, education and science has made me a very complete human being, and I feel very blessed for that.
That was really lovely. Like, I have heard this from a lot of people, but this was a very different perspective for me. So my second question to you, like, what was the defining moment that drew you toward poetry alongside your scientific and academic career?
That defining moment was, I think, very poetic itself. Okay. I was then a principal of a junior college, and when you are up there, you're very lonely. So in between administrative work and all board exams and all, when I had a little time for my own, I used to feel very lonely. I was alone and I used to feel lonely. And then I had all my life, like I was a lecturer in a college also before that, in a degree college. So I had all my life, before that I had published many international papers. I've written travel logs in magazines about my travel. But poetry was something which I worshipped. I thought, can I write poetry? And suddenly, I bought a new diary and I started writing poems. And so the principal, the dedicated wife and the devoted wife and the dedicated mother one day started writing poetry, and suddenly one day the scientist opened the diary and she discovered that she has become a poet.
Oh, wow. Really inspiring this is. So for my third question, like, your work has been translated widely into over 45 languages. What do you think helps your poetry connect globally?
Yes, 45 languages, and my books have also been translated into Spanish, French, Chinese and Croatian. Now, I write a regular column about poetry in a newspaper, The Dialect. So I'll just read out a tiny little extract so that you understand how my poetry influences the global community. So, when a happy thought makes us euphoric, or when a sad thought makes us depressed, and when these thoughts are put down on paper, it is poetry. But not all thoughts put down can be poetry. Poetry is something which soothes, something which touches our heart and is beautiful. So I feel my poetry is soothing and it touches the hearts of others. And I write about different feelings like love, relationships, unity and diversity, and many more. And if you see, all these human emotions are there in an Indian, a Malaysian, a Japanese, any other person in the whole world. So I think my poetry has a universal appeal. And I use simple language, which is relatable, which is understandable. Again, my poem has a neutral voice. So, like, it has no specific male voice or a female voice or any other gender voice.
Yeah.
So, people, irrespective of their gender, enjoy my poems. And last but not the least, I have been a motivational I have gone for many motivational workshops, and I've done a lot of conducted many motivational courses for children and adults. And I think this motivational and inspirational side has come into my poetry also.
Yeah.
So I talk about, in my poetry, I talk about, in darkness, I talk about light. In despair, I talk about hope. And I feel that people from different lands get motivated by my poetry, and this positivity has given a global endorsement to my poetry.
Wow, amazing. My fifth question to you is, how does intercultural literature through your work at IPPL and ISISAR help bring people and cultures closer together?
Closer together. Okay, just that's a very good question. 1 minute, let me think about it. Intercultural poetry. Yes. Now, as you know, I promote a lot of multilingual, peace and indigenous poetry, right? So multilingualism brings in the interaction of, multilingualism brings in different poets of different languages together. There is interaction of different languages, different cultures, different people. Again, if you talk about indigenous poetry, that is the tribal people. So, in fact, poetry helped me so much in knowing certain languages which we did not know, which are not there in the mainstream, like Karbi, Khasi, Mizo languages. So, poetry helped me know that these languages they can become extinct one day. And so when I promote such poetry, these languages are brought into the mainstream and they are promoted, they are preserved. So I think I have this love for tribal culture and tribal language because of my very famous anthropologist father who used to do all these. So I think I have been influenced by him a lot. So again, like I said, like you asked me, intercultural, the intercultural background of poetry. So both multilingual and indigenous poetry brings in people together, cultures together. It is like the amalgamation of all cultures in one place when you are doing such promotions of poetry.
Okay. Yeah. You have started a YouTube channel for your poetry. What inspired this, and how do you see digital platforms shaping poetry today?
Yes, thank you. I started my channel at the rate Paramita's Poetry at the start of 2025. I feel my thoughts, my emotions and my feelings are expressed through my poetry. Okay? And one day I will be no more. And so I feel these should remain as my legacy, which can be preserved through my channel at the rate Paramita's Poetry. Also, people listening to my poetry can get interested in more poetry. They can read poetry, they can listen to poetry, they can read more poetry, they can write poetry. So I think that my channel helps that way. And like you, the second part of the question where you asked me about digital platforms has the same answer. Digital platform will inspire people to listen to poetry, to read more poetry, even write poetry. And one day I truly dream that poetry will become as famous as music is on the digital platform.
Yeah, definitely it will someday.
So let's hope and keep our fingers crossed, and I really dream that.
Yeah. So you curate poetry evenings for the Nehru Centre Library.
Yes.
What do you think of them as a unique library initiative which is one of a kind in Mumbai?
This unique library initiative by Nehru Centre Library was brought forward by Arti Desai, the librarian, who thinks beyond her times, I feel. She thinks beyond her times, and she brings a new touch to all aspects of literature. And it was she and I, we sat together and we thought that when we will bring in this initiative of poetry evenings, you know, a bi-monthly poetry evenings, it will promote poetry.
Yeah.
Like people are more interested in prose, not so much in poetry. So her dream and my dream was we will bring in this multilingual poetry evening where poetry will be promoted, multilingualism will be promoted, and it is, like I said, multilingualism, so it is a platform for different languages, interaction of poets, thought processes, ideas are exchanged. So this is like a living library because you started with living literature.
Yeah.
So, you know, when the multilingual poetry evenings is like a living library where you are interacting with different cultures, different thoughts, different ideas. And yes, like you said, no other library, leave alone Mumbai, no other library in India, I think, has this type of multilingual poetry evenings.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You're often described as a positive poet. How do you personally define positivity and how does it reflect in your poetry?
Okay, this is a wonderful question. Let me see. Positivity, yes. People do call me a positive poet. Now, let me give an example of what positivity is to me. Now, we had gone for a vacation in Japan a few months ago. So, you know, and the first lap of vacation, we had gone to Hiroshima, and there was a step you couldn't understand, you couldn't make out. So, my daughter suddenly, she couldn't see that step and she tripped and fell. So thankfully she was not much hurt. So my husband said immediately that good you fell. So the rest of the vacation will be very successful and without any obstacles, you know. And then he looked at me and said, you know, I've got this positivity from you. Yes, I am a positive person like that because whenever something bad happens, I try to see the good part of that. So, you know, I call myself a banyan root because I try to extract or search for nourishment and find nourishment in the hardest of rocks. So whenever, you know, always it's not a bad start is not always bad. Because I feel that bad start takes away all the negativities of our journey. So that is positivity. Resilience is positivity. Overcoming your obstacles is positivity. When you fall, getting up is positivity. So all these are positivity. And yes, now, so like I said before also, so my poetry brings in positivity. My poetry in darkness brings light, in injury brings pardon, and in despair brings hope. And if you allow me, is this the last question of today?
Yeah, it's the last question for today.
Okay, if you allow me, during COVID I had published 3 books and I have 12 books, and these 3 books most deal with poems that give hope, gave hope in those uncertain times. And so I will read a poem from my book, The Golden Window, to show the little bit of positivity that I always bring into my poetry. And it was written during the COVID times, and I'll end with this. Thank you so much. So the poem is called The Little Miracle. The lockdown imprisoned me indoors. I was neck deep in household chores. Outdoor work totally stopped. Meeting friends was absolutely cropped. Just when I thought I could no longer breathe, a little miracle happened in the form of a seed. It fell on my empty flower pot, grew into a lovely sapling, and my attention caught. It grew and grew into a tall, slender plant in the middle of other pots in my balcony slant. One fine day I happened to see a radiant yellow sunflower waving in glee. When everything seemed uncertain and sad, when happy thoughts were overshadowed by bad, the wondrous sunflower waved its head in glory, giving me immense happiness in the gloomy story.
Wow,
Thank you.
amazing. This defines the lockdown period. Like, I recalled my lockdown days, and it's so true. It's way more positive, I must say, because lockdown made us very
Very uncertain,
Yeah.
very scared.
Yeah,
we
and
didn't
reading
know what
this,
would happen. Yeah.
I can see now the positive side of the lockdown.
Yes.
It's really good.
Yes,
I must
yes,
say.
yes.
Thank you so much, Paramita ma'am. It was really good to have you here and sharing your thoughts with us. So I'll see you in the next episode, guys. So please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
thank you.
And please also subscribe to Paramita ma'am's channel. So see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.